When it comes to the Mario Kart series, each one varies differently from one another. From the original game all the way to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, each of the games offers a special gimmick to their games that makes each one of them unique and different from one another. But other than that, the core value of racing against friends is still there in each of the games, making each and every game a joy to play with, no matter which game you choose from the catalog. But that doesn't mean each of them are equal in terms of good, which is exactly why I'll be making this video. Before we start with the ranking, if you guys could subscribe to the channel, it would mean a lot. We're trying to reach 1,200 subscribers before February, and I would really appreciate the help. With all that being said, in this video, I'll be ranking every Mario Kart game worst to best. We're gonna start off the list with the weirdest games to be introduced to the series being Home Circuit. This was basically Mario Kart Maker, but in real life. This allowed you to make your own house into a Mario Kart track, which is every kid's dream, to be honest. But this game just isn't good. Now, it is a really interesting idea, though. I respect Nintendo trying to do something different, allowing people to use their creativity to make tracks in your house. If we're gonna be real, barely anyone bought this to actually play. Nintendo was pretty experimental during this time too, because around this time Nintendo tried selling us cardboard, and I'm sure y'all remember that. This is easily the worst entry into the series, and I hardly even wanted to include it into the ranking because it's so weird. We have another entry that's kinda on the weird side, but not as bad as Home Circuit, being Mario Kart Tour. This was Nintendo's attempt at trying to make Mario Kart into a mobile game. It wasn't too bad at first, but slowly just went downhill. This game was filled with microtransactions, and real gamers just aren't about that life. What made it worse was the fact that some tracks you couldn't even play without having certain characters or variants. Stuff like this really triggered a lot of fans, including me. We know how greedy Nintendo can be, but this was an all-time high for Nintendo. Like, what do you mean I have to pay my whole college funding to play as Bumblebee Mario just so I can drive around the Fortnite map a couple of times? What made Mario Kart Tour even worse was the fact Nintendo confirmed it being Mario Kart 9. This game didn't deserve to be anywhere near mainline status, but I think Nintendo finally learned their lesson about mobile games after this. I think they finally realized it just wasn't for them, which is good because they really need to just stick to making good games and not mobile games. Steve Jobs would just be disappointed to see Mario run on his app store along with Mario Kart Tour. We finally have our first real game, in my opinion, in this spot being Super Mario Kart. If we're being honest, this is borderline mainline now. This game aged so poorly. I remember booting this game up with my dad for the first time and was just trying to figure out how he could even grow up with this game. I couldn't see crap in this game. Usually I try to get first in Mario Kart, but in this game I was just trying to finish the track, which felt nearly impossible with how awful the controls are too. Me and Toad were probably stuck on that stupid ice track for probably 10 minutes. You know that feeling when you have to look like you're having fun so you don't make the other person upset? That's exactly how I felt deep down. I was just dying inside. It was one of the worst gaming experiences I've ever had. This game would be a perfect torture device to use against someone now. Just make them play the ice course for 24 hours a day. They definitely fess up about their crimes after that. But other than that, I'm just happy we got to a mainline game. It gets bonus points for just being the first actual game too for starring this gaming giant. Mario Kart Super Circuit is basically the same thing as Super Mario Kart, but this game came out on the Game Boy Advance, which is the first handheld game to be on this list so far. Unless you do want to count Mario Kart Tour as one, but I wouldn't really consider a phone to be handheld. The sad thing is all the same issues that Super Mario Kart had are the same issues with Super Circuit. At least Super Circuit gets a pass for being handheld, but other than that, it's still not the best when it comes to Mario Kart. And I'm pretty sure it did add some new tracks, but no new characters or anything, but it was a very solid game though. We're back into weird territory with this placement being Mario Kart Arcade GP. If you've been to places like Main Event, David Buster's, you've most likely seen this game or even played a couple of it. I haven't played this game in forever. It's not bad, but it's not outstanding either. It's a little odd for Mario Kart though. It included a lot of strange characters as well and even had Pac-Man in it, which is crazy to even think about now. For an arcade Mario game though, it really gets the job done. If someone were to rank arcade games, this should be pretty high up there though. Next we have Mario Kart 64. This is the second game introduced in the franchise, and honestly I like this game a ton. I don't know if it's because it's one of the first Mario Kart games I've ever played or what, but I have a soft spot for this game. The tracks were also pretty good for being the second game. A lot of them have been introduced and worked on in the newer games. The characters' voice lines in this game are iconic, especially Toad's. This game honestly improved off a lot from Super Mario Kart. The controls were a lot easier to manage as well, but they were still a little difficult. You could actually see what's going on in this game, which I do understand that Nintendo 64 was a lot more powerful than the Super Nintendo. Mario Kart 64 did a really amazing job though improving the franchise overall, and I wouldn't really mind picking up the controller to play this game with friends as well still. Another Mario Kart game I grew up on that I absolutely love is Mario Kart DS. I spent a ton of hours on this game, especially on the boss fight mode it had. I never understood why Nintendo hasn't tried to revisit the boss fight mode. I personally really enjoyed them, and I might even make a video in the future ranking all the bosses. The battle modes were also really fun to play with friends. My favorite track was the one where you were driving on the DS. I spent a ton of hours playing balloon battles with friends and family, and overall I just had a ton of fond memories playing this game. They also introduced some characters like Rob and Dry Bones as playable characters, and I can't forget Waluigi. A lot of really good tracks were in this game as well, my favorite being Waluigi Pinball. Another interesting feature Mario Kart DS had was the ability to draw pictures on your vehicles as well. This of course wasn't brought back for obvious reasons, but I do miss that being an option to customize your vehicle. But overall, this is a pretty good entry into the series. Mario Kart 7 is one of the most underrated and forgotten Mario Kart games. A lot of people don't really enjoy this game, but I always thought it was a pretty good Mario Kart game. It introduced the underwater and glider system, which is still used in the modern games, as well as an option to customize your vehicle, which is still used in modern Mario Kart to this day as well. Mario Kart 7 was the founding father for modern day Mario Kart, and it deserves a tad bit more respect just for that reason. It's just overall a pretty good entry into the series that I think deserves a little bit more love than what it gets. Mario Kart Double Dash introduced a concept that really needs to be brought back, being the fact that you can have two racers in one vehicle. I've made many videos saying how I want a Double Dash feature in the next Mario Kart game since it could be really fun for co-op purposes. But Double Dash is an amazing Mario Kart game. Basically all the games from here on out are perfect. I didn't play Double Dash as much as the other Mario Kart games that came out around this time, but going back and playing it, I realized how good of a Mario Kart game it actually was. I know if Nintendo were to bring back the Double Racers feature, then Double Dash wouldn't be looked at as very unique anymore. But oh boy, were the tracks that came out on this game amazing. Some of them, like Daisy's Cruiser, hopefully make a return in future games. All the tracks in this game are probably in most people's top 10 tracks of all time. I'm hoping this game just comes out on the GameCube service or something along those lines so more people can actually play this game, because this is one of those really good Mario Kart games that everyone needs to give a shot at. Mario Kart 8 is taking our third spot, and this isn't Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I'm talking about the OG version on the Wii U. I bet most of you watching this didn't even play this Mario Kart since I was one of the 3 people that actually have a Wii U. But this was a very good Mario Kart game just for the fact that it had plenty of good tracks. The roster was huge, even though it had a lot of random characters like Pink Gold Peach. The Koopalings got added as well, which is still one of the coolest things to me. But this is the first game on the list that have DLC. They released DLC through waves though, but it added 4 more cups and new characters and variants for Yoshi and Shy Guy. I think the DLC should have been in the game to begin with, but hey, that's just me. But this was a really good Mario Kart game. It does come off as stale though, since we've been playing it for over a decade now. Other than that, it's a pretty good Mario Kart game though. Man, it stings to put Mario Kart Wii in second. This was another Mario Kart game I grew up on and one of the best Wii games to come out. The crazy thing about Mario Kart Wii is the fandom is still alive. There's ways to still play online with others, and people are always modding it to make custom tracks. Community is awesome for this game, and it will be a long time until it actually dies. The one feature this game had, which everyone loved and I want to see return as well, is the ability to do wheelies on a bike. Now, I do understand why Nintendo got rid of this feature, because no one was using the actual cars, because the bikes were the fastest vehicles since the wheelies gave you a speed boost. I'm sure plenty of y'all know about the Funky Kong and Bowser bike combo that everyone did. The tracks in this game are so iconic as well, and most of them are in people's top 5. I really wish I could put Mario Kart Wii in first, but the next game is just too good to be top, which leads us to the first place winner being Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I mean, this game is as good as it gets for Mario Kart, especially since the expansion packs came out, which added a lot of needed stuff like characters and tracks. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe will be very difficult to beat in the future, and I'm not really sure how Nintendo can top it without making it too similar, since everything you could possibly want in Mario Kart is in this game. We just need some features from the older games to improve off of this. But the roster is stacked in this game, and almost everyone from the older games are in it now, and it has the most tracks in it with probably 3 other games combined. This game is the #1 selling Switch game for a good reason. Every Switch owner probably has a copy of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I'm just curious on how they'll improve the next game, but everything I said about Mario Kart 8 pretty much implies here. 8 Deluxe is just on steroids compared to it. Well, that's my ranking of every Mario Kart game, worst to best. Are you mad I didn't put Super Mario Kart first? Tell me in the comments what y'all list would be. I'm curious to hear what y'all have to say. I think my list is pretty good, and hopefully I can make a new one whenever we get a brand new Mario Kart game, if that ever happens. With all that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and peace out.